So this is a little hard for me to say, but if I sit with it, it feels true. Um, I feel like at this stage of my life, I'm actually very proud of where I am. I'm really proud of all the progress that I've made. Proud of how I've grown. And that's hard for me to say because I grew up in a family where I never heard that. I never heard it from my mom, never heard it from my dad. Maybe, I don't know, maybe one time heard it from my brother. Um, and it almost taught me to be okay with never acknowledging the things that I did well or never taking the time to give myself some credit. And part of it was a fear of not crossing over to the line of arrogance. Um, and I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to be proud of myself without being arrogant. And yeah, that was just the environment that I grew up in. And the reason why I'm proud of myself is because if I think about it objectively, I've just come very, very far. If I think about who the person that I was when I was in middle school and high school, I was very insecure, very shy, very pessimistic about life, very cloistered, and very, yeah, I did not have a good outlook. It was very depressing to think about, and even to think about now is it was just not fun being in that environment. I thought I would ultimately amount to nothing at that time because I had so little going for me and so little clarity around who I was and what I want. Um, and I've grown. It took me maybe 7 years to get really comfortable on a social level. I went from not feeling like my opinion was important to being comfortable sharing my opinion with friends and then with strangers and then putting myself out there online, writing a lot and then speaking. I went from very, very insecure to very, very cocky and arrogant to a little more toned down to realize, oh, like, yeah, you're competent in some stuff, but you still got a lot of room to grow. So, just that journey. And I've gone from being very useless from a real world perspective, like not having many skills, to, hey, I know a couple things, and I've learned a couple things. I've started a couple businesses, like that's a thing. I've been a part of an organization and helped make a lot of money for them, like that's a thing. And I remember a time when I didn't have any skills like that. I can write pretty well, and I sucked at writing in high school, and I hated it, and now I'm okay at it. I think one of the biggest things that I'm proud of as of late, though, is I took a really big step to mend my relationship with my parents, at one parent, with my mom so far, and I recently just had a really frank conversation with my mom, and was just honest with how I felt about our interactions. I felt like she was not connecting. I felt like she was not really supporting me. I felt like every single time I mentioned something, she would just lecture me. And in lecture mode, I would feel very disconnected to her. I ended up voicing that, Mom, when you speak in this kind of way, it makes me feel like I don't want to tell you this stuff anymore. And I'm just letting you know that's the feeling that I get. And surprisingly, my mom ultimately ended up acknowledging that, apologizing, and said she just cares about me. And at that point, I really felt like I could more genuinely connect with my mom. And I've never, I can't remember the last time I felt like I had a genuine connection with my mom. Um, So yeah, I'm just really proud of all these steps that I've made to challenge myself, to the kind of person that I've become, the things that I've learned, the people, the relationships that I have in my life. And I think what I want to say is, for people who, if you're not really happy with your life, take steps to change, and because change takes time. And I mean, 7 years to learn these social skills. It took me maybe about 4 years to get fluent with writing. It took me 3 years to learn sales and negotiation, and when I was in real estate, and it took me about 4 or 5 years to study and understand what it takes to run a business. Stuff doesn't happen overnight, and I was also at a point where I felt like I was very, very incompetent with a lot of things. And so yeah, so two things: just if you have not many skills, like, trust the process of life, of growing, of challenging yourself. And if you have success, take some time to acknowledge yourself and be proud of yourself, because you should be able to celebrate yourself. And it does feel good to be able to acknowledge, like, hey, I did some cool stuff, and that's okay. And it's possible to do that without crossing the line of arrogance. So, just some thoughts.